Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the proud Dawi, Belegar, Ironhammer, gonna be leading the way against the foul undead scum of the Vampire Counts. So, let's get right to it. We've got a front line of miners here with blasting charges, some dwarf warriors, of course Belegar with a runesmith supporting, Ulthwar's raiders, giant slayers, and dragonback slayers, two groups of thunderers, two Dawi cannons, and a single gyro currently running away from some bats. We've got Vladdy Daddy von Karstein leading the way for the Vampire Counts, front line of Graveguard with shields, including the Sternsmen, second line of Graveguard with great weapons. We've got two Black Knights with lances and barding hidden in the woods here, one of which is the Regiment of Renowned Varix Reavers, one of my favorite units on the Vampire Counts roster. You don't see them too often, but I think they're actually very underrated. We've also got a Necromancer battery over here, and some Hounds in the back line. You can see the mobile units for the Vampire Counts moving in to try and bog things down. A very nice play here by the Dawi Cannon, though, moving through the Dragonback Slayers, kind of retreating there. Unfortunately, the Hounds are right on station to get on top of them, and these fell bats are tangling up the gyros. Granted, gyros with the Overwatch fire will be able to win that. Unfortunately, that very nice play by the Hounds there, taking out one Dawi cannon. The other one does manage to stay online, though, and the Graveguard making their way up through the center line here. We'll watch them as they take some blasting charges and start to, do some synchronized decapitations on these miners here. Looks like a Wind of Death was maybe going to go off in the front line, but I don't know if Vlad got knocked over or looks like canceled with the zombie summon, but could have potentially been a big waste of magic there. But if that wasn't an intentional cancel, definitely very well played there. Belegar and Vlad fighting it out here. Two tank lords, although Vlad definitely has the advantage in that particular head-to-head. Speaking of head, looks like Belegar using his headbutt ability there. And yeah, you can see just taking an overarching look, Dawi missile line still relatively secure. Even that cannon that got nommed on by Hounds is coming back from route here. So these Thunderers going to try and get into a position. Another Wind of Death looks like it's going to try and go off here. This one does actually go off, but because it was not overcast, it doesn't do the most damage. Does a decent amount to those Slayers, but the non-overcast Winds of Death I don't think is worth the Winds of Magic cost. But you can see Belegar still fighting in here, and just a horde of throwing axes hitting Vlad in the face there. But of course, Vlad, one of the best tank lords in the game, with that Blood Drinker and with Hunger, just has ridiculous regeneration rates. Very, very hard to kill. And the Graveguard with great weapons going to be chewing through the Dawi infantry relatively well. You can see some very nice flanking fire here, although some of the Graveguard have managed to make their way over and engage on the unit itself. But still, Dragonback Slayers in the back line, cutting up zombies that are trying to be summoned. Dawi Cannon being kept relatively secure as well. And we've got the Thunderers here getting some very nice Overwatch fire supporting the Dawi infantry here. As the Graveguard pull away, they're going to take some free hits. And the Giant Slayer is going to come in with their armor-piercing axes, just do a ton of damage to these Graveguard. Graveguard will actually trade reasonably well against the Giant Slayers just head-to-head, but because a lot of them are force pathing after these Thunderers, and oh man, that cannon getting a brutal side shot through the Graveguard there. Unfortunately, Belegar just getting absolutely ransacked by Vlad here. Vlad, definitely the superior duelist. Can only imagine, though, trying to duel a dude with a giant shield and a hammer with like a little fencing sword like Vlad has. I mean, I say little fencing sword. It's actually, well, what is that, like a broadsword? I don't know. Anyway, the Graveguard definitely don't help the situation either for Belegar, and he's just not too happy in general. These Thunderers getting wrecked by Black Knights as well, but now that the Black Knights have revealed themselves, they're going to be a little bit of a magnet for fire from both of the cannons, which are still online. The gyros are still online as well, just continuing to fire in from the air. So yeah, these Black Knights and the Varix Reavers going to try and force their way through, but the miners and Dwarf Warriors doing a great job just holding them back for the moment here, allowing that cannon, both cannons in fact, to get some good side shots here. A few models do break through and get back and shut down this cannon here, but the other one will be able to get some Overwatch fire. Unfortunately, Ulthar's Raiders getting bogged down by zombies, and also cut up by Sternsmen from the other side. Granted, those Sternsmen are crumbling, not long for this world, but yeah, overall, Dawi started to clean up the infantry fight. Graveguard with Great Weapons did a ton of damage here, but the leadership of the Dawi means that they can actually hold out against the undead until they crumble, because they have better leadership. Most factions, because their leadership is lower, they'll just rout off too easily, but because the Dawi generally have great leadership, and of course Slayers being unbreakable definitely helps. Very powerful unit with massive AP, can come in and do a ton of damage. You can see those Black Knights actually crumbling now, not having done a whole lot of work actually at the end of the day. So the Varix Reavers fared a little bit well, but now they're tangled up in the center line with the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass here, and taking some Overwatch fire from the Gyrocopters, which also do fire damage, all of which are going to get bonus against the Varix Reavers here because of that standard regeneration trait. So probably not the best place for them to be fighting, but they're not long for this world anyway. You can see the Thunderers getting a very nice hill position here. Dawi Overwatch fire, of course, being very, very powerful. And I would say, just based on, you know, impressions of this patch, I do have a tier list video coming. Still working on it, guys. Haven't quite got it finished yet. But in that tier list, I rank factions according to how many good versus bad matchups they have. And the Vampire Counts, spoiler alert, don't have too many bad matchups. I'm not going to tell you exactly where they're at on the tier list, but this is one of the matchups that I think the Vampire Counts have a tough time in. This is probably, I would say, the hardest matchup for the Vampire Counts. Still not unwinnable by any means. Certainly there are some builds that can do a lot of damage. In this particular battle, though, just being ground down by the Dawi infantry, some very, very nice missile play as well, keeping the Thunders and the cannons online, Dragonback Slayers and the Giant Slayers all carrying a heavy load as well. Belegar tanking out some damage, although currently looks like he's chasing some zombies around. Very, very fun stuff, Belegar. Only about 280 HP on him, but nonetheless, Gyro Bomb's going to be coming in, doing some good shock damage to those Graveguard here. Only a few units of Graveguard still online, and plenty of Dawi missiles to kind of pull them in different directions here. So yeah, the Dawi, because of their resiliency, their high leadership, high defense, good combat stats, you know, they have good missile play as well, just generally can hold out well against the Vampire Counts. And I don't think this is maybe necessarily the most optimized build, but certainly the Graveguard with Great Weapons can do a lot of damage against the Dwarves, and regular Graveguard also reasonably solid here. You can get a lot of value from that bonus versus infantry that they carry, but at this point, not too much longer, and the Vampire Count's going to be going down. You can see Rune of Wrath and Ruin as the Runesmith comes in here and drops the hammer on those Graveguard. Vlad coming over to try and support, so we're going to fast forward a little bit through this mid-game here as Vlad goes over. Last of his infantry are mostly going to crumble away. It's pretty much just summoned zombies protecting at this point. But yeah, he does manage to beat down that Runesmith and the miners, the cannon, rout everything off there. So yeah, the Giant Slayer is going to come in and finally try and finish him off. The Giant Slayers with their massive weapon strength will be able to do a lot of damage to Vlad, but yeah, he's going to just chat after the Thunderers, just pull through, despite the fact that the you know, his speed's being debuffed supposedly by the Dragonback Slayers there. But Gyrocopters coming in against the summoned zombies here. Belegar also still in the area, so we'll fast forward a little bit more as a little bit of Overwatch fire comes in, and the Dragonback Slayers and the Giant Slayers start to get a nice circle beat here on Vladdy Daddy. Definitely very tanky, but he's at his healing cap at this point. Gonna summon up some more zombies here to distract the Slayers and hopefully try and finish them off, but Gyros come in. We've also got Belegar running in here as well. Some regrouped Warriors of Dragonfire Pass here. So yeah, we'll just kind of soak up some cinematics of this late game pitched battle. Slayers just chewing through these zombies here, shoulder to shoulder. Oh man, so awesome. Super, super cool units. And Vlad himself just pushing through, going directly after Belegar. Where's Belegar? Yeah, he just got him. He got Belegar, so Belegar goes down, but unfortunately that's not going to be enough to save Vlad here. But definitely an extra grudging, just so that, you know, these dwarves are going to go have to kill Manfred now or something. But anyway, oh man, speaking of grudging, that friendly fire though. Whoo, man, that friendly fire. You can see Vlad is clearly incensed by this most unchivalrous display of friendly fire, so he's going to come in and try and try and show these Dawi cannon what loyalty means. Then he gets killed by a gyrocopter, so how about that finish for old Vladdy Daddy there? Very fun battle. Big thanks to the player for submitting that one. Super fun battle. I really enjoyed it. Dwarves, like I said, one of the toughest matchups for the vampire counts in my opinion. Just their resiliency, their high leadership makes it really, really hard for the vampire counts to really capitalize on their scariness. You know, their army-wide fear, lots of terror units. You know, you can't really grind them down as efficiently because the Dawi are one of those factions that grind exceptionally well. You know, vampire counts and dwarves, I would say, are probably the two top grind factions right now. And yeah, just because of the dwarves' ability to take missiles, and again, the high armor pretty much across the board, the high melee defense especially too. Because vampire counts units just generally tend to have poor combat stats. If we go ahead and have a look here at the vampire counts, and we'll compare them to some dwarf units here. But just in general, like, even Graveguard, you know, 24 and 36 at the end of the day really isn't that great. You know, Dwarf Warriors have 22 and 40, and they're significantly cheaper. Granted, they don't have as good a weapon strength. You know, they do have slightly less armor, and they don't have a bonus versus infantry. But still, this kind of goes to show the differential in combat stats here, that even the most elite infantry for the vampire counts just really not going to be able to get through the melee defense of a lot of Dawi units here. Longbeards, you know, Dwarf Warriors, even Miners, they don't have the best combat stats, but the blasting charges can do a lot of damage to your chaff units. Gyros can be a potentially big threat as well. You know, just in general, the dwarves' resiliency, you know, very, very tough to deal with for the vampire counts. So, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.